We are going to talk about Madhav Mantri today, both as a cricketer and a gentleman. The more we talk about him, the lesser it is, because there is so much to talk about him, and you can't cover everything in an interview like this. Madhav was a rare cricketer gentleman. I remember as a schoolboy, college boy, Ranji Trophy cricketer, Test cricketer, going to him and asking him questions about what I did wrong or what I should do to correct it. As a matter of fact, if after that I didn't turn up in his office, he would call me and say, "Aaj aaya kyun nahi?" So I knew that he is expecting me. And he was such a nice gentleman that he never said no to you for any discussion. There are many instances where we talk for hours together. And every time the tips that he gave us or what he told us was always useful. I remember once I went to him and he told me that, "Well played." I told him I didn't come here to hear that I played well. I also know I played well, but what could I have done to play better? And then he would say, "I like that, because having played well, you still want to know how to play better." And started giving his advice. He was such a humble man that once he called me at my office and said, "Nari, can you drop in tomorrow morning at my office?" I said, "Sure, Madhav, there is no problem. Is there anything particular that you want to discuss?" No, he said, "You just come over." I went to him, and after offering tea, coffee, etc., he said, "Nari, I am going to give you two names, and you have to tell me, if you were in my place, whom you would select." I said, that was a really terrible question to ask and answer. So I said, "Mother, I will be telling you what I feel about it, who I think is better, and that is it." So he said, "All right." I said, "Mother, tell me." He said, "Tell me, if you were to select between Ramakant Desai and Umesh Kulkarni, whom would you select?" I said, without doubt, Ramakant Desai. And the conversation ended there. She didn't say why you are saying Ramakant and not the other man. He said, "I just wanted to know what you feel about the two people." And that was it. The other occasion when I remember is when he came down to my office. He did a lot for Bombay cricket. To him, cricket was his first game. And he came to my office and I was shocked to see him. And he said, "Madhav, Ajay here." So he said, yes, I want to have a discussion with you. And he said, Nari, you know, Bombay cricket is going down. It is mainly because of lower bowling standard. Our bowling standard is going down. And I would like to do something about it. And I knew no better person than you to come and talk to you about it. So I said, Mother, but this is a subject which requires a lot of thinking, a lot of money, and whatnot. So he said, I have understood your question. Give me a few days to think over it and how to go about it so that the bowling standard of Bombay improves. So after about a period of 7-8 days, I called him at his office and said, Mother, I just thought about it and planned everything. So should I come over or are you coming over? So he said, whatever you say. I said, I will come over. And then we started discussing about it. And I said, Mother, when you are saying your bowling standard is going down, you mean bowling in toto? The fast bowlers, the slow bowlers and everything. He said, yes. Because unless our bowling improves, winning will not improve. So I said, it requires a lot of money and a lot of time. But before I start anything, I want you to assure me that when the scheme starts operating, people from BCA, that is the Bombay Cricket Association, will not interfere in what I am doing and allow me to go my way. Because if people keep on interfering that do this and don't do that and don't do this, and you can't operate the scheme. He said, that's a promise from me. So then I told him that I went to Mr. Mafatwal, Rishikesh Mafatwal, and told him about what is required. And to my surprise, he immediately agreed to whatever I had to say, because it required lakhs and lakhs of rupees. It required a lot of cooperation from BCA and the coach and the players. So he said, that is my promise to you. And then I told Mr. Mafatwal that, look, I don't think at this juncture we have a coach in Bombay who can improve the bowling standard of the players playing for the BCA. And I will require time to come to a conclusion as to who it should be. And for that, I think, unless you say no, I will want to make a trip to England, visit the counties, visit the coaches who are coaching those counties, and find out from them what they would like to do to improve the bowling standard of Bombay Cricket Association. He said, Nari, you have an open check, do whatever you like, and you will have my approval. So I started getting in touch with coaches in England who had already come here, and I knew them. and they ultimately decided a trip to England to meet them personally. One thing that came out of that meeting was everyone would say the same thing. Nari, I am coaching Middlesex, I am coaching Lancashire, I am coaching this county, that county, so I know what to do. I said, I know you know what to do, but I want to know what you want to do. It is not that I don't know what you are doing there. He said, no, that I can't tell you. Now, I went from place to place and ultimately decided that nobody out of this lot whom I have discussed will be able to do what we want him to do. Ultimately, I went to Lord's, where they have their indoor school and coaches who coach the youngsters there. And the man in charge of the indoor school there was Keith Andrew, the wicketkeeper, who played for England. And after discussing with him, he said, Nari, I have understood your problem. And the person I would recommend to you for obtaining results is Frank Tyson of Australia and not an English coach. I said, are you convinced about it? And he said, yes, I am. I came back to India and spoke to Madhav Mantri about it. And he said, you do what you like. I have told you I have given you a clean sheet. And then I rang up Frank Tyson and spoke to him about it. And told him, they want you for this purpose. But before we appoint you, I want you to send me in detail what you propose to do to improve the standard of bowling in Bombay cricket. So after some time I got a few pages of his recommendations and what he is going to do. Again I took that and went to Madhav Mantri, and he said, I think this is fantastic. This is how we came to the conclusion that Frank Tyson is the man who will conduct the coaching for our youngsters in everything. I asked Frank Tyson to come over to India and told him that everything will be paid for, and I would like to discuss personally what you are going to do. He immediately agreed to it, and the way he went about it, I was more and more convinced that he is the man for the job. Again, I went to Madhav and told him that, Madhav, look, I have asked you once and I am asking you again that there will be no interference from any Mumbai Cricket Association members for what we are doing. We are going to spend and we are going to do everything. We are not going to ask PCA to be a part of the expenditure or anything. And he said, yes, go ahead. You will be surprised that when again we talked about how Frank is going to go about the whole scheme, he said, age will be a barrier. Even if you tell me that XYZ is a good fast bowler and he should be in this race, if I don't like him, I will tell you that I can't include him. All the boys who will be selected by me. And what Madhav told us was that Nari, from BCA, if you want any help, that I promise I will give you. So I said, Madhav, my first question is, what about the ground which will be made available to us? Because this is going to be drawn on for a few years. It is not going to end in 1 month or 2 days, 2 months or anything like that. And he said, I will also have to think about it because nobody is ready to spare the ground for this purpose. Ultimately, nobody agreed. So we went about the whole search again, and CCI, Parsi Gymkhana, Hindu Gymkhana, and many clubs agreed that we will give you the ground for the purpose. Really, the more you talk about Madhav Mantri, the lesser it is. So I will now talk about what Madhav Mantri himself was. Madhav, apart from being a good cricketer, was always helpful to young cricketers. Any time a young cricketer approached him for advice, he would call him at his first floor office at ACC and give him his advice. I remember that nobody had to take his permission to come to his office. They had to just call him that, Madhav, I want to come and talk to you about something. And he would say, just come over. Apart from that, apart from Bombay cricket, he saw to it that his club, the other union, was at the top of clubs that participate in the tournaments that Bombay Cricket Association operated. Amongst the 3 clubs that he decided upon was Dadar Union, that was his club, Shivaji Park Gymkhana, and the Parsi Cycle Sports Club. And whenever an opportunity came, he would come to our club and talk about the changes we should make to make improvements in our club. That showed his humbleness, because we all thought we were a good club. We used to win tournaments, the Kangare, Purushottam Shield, Talim Shield. But he was so humble that he would come and tell us that this is what he requires for improvement. We all know about Dadar Union. We all know about Sunil Gavaskar, a man who constantly sought his advice on what he should do and what he should not do. And today we know what Sunil Gavaskar was and is. So as I said, he was such a beautiful personality that you can go and talk to him about anything, about cricket, not about anything. And he would respond to your questions in a positive manner. I remember one personal thing. We were playing a test match at Calcutta against Australia. That was the second test match after having lost at Delhi. And it was a damp wicket. The ball was stopping and coming, and this is where just what all his 9 wickets and all that. And I told him that, "Madhav, I have worked out a plan as to what I will do on this sort of a weekend." And I explained him the thing. He said, "Look, as I told you, I will not interfere. You go ahead and do what you like. I will talk to you after the whole thing is over." And he came to me and said, "Nari, well done. When you told about your plan, I was not so sure that it will work. But after having seen that you scored 80 odd runs in that match, when only 4 people would go into 2 figures out of the 40 batsmen who played in 2 innings, I really appreciate your planning and thinking before the game." He was that sort of